Welcome back to that build, and today's install should be a bit cruisy. I'm so sorry. So if you're new to the channel, I do invite you to like, subscribe and check the notification bell so you keep up to date with everything going on in the channel. This is going to be a bit more involved, this one, and I have got my instruction booklet ready. I didn't print this one out because realistically there's a fair few pages here, so keeping it simple, going with more or less an online manual. Yeah, basically what we're going to be doing is obviously adding cruise control to the Abarth. So this is the actual stalk, and the only thing I do wish about this stalk is that you can actually do it either side. I don't know if I'd prefer it on right to left just yet. Most of the time they've always been on left for me regardless, but yeah, it is just one of the drawbacks is that you can only really have it on the left hand side. So whether I place it up top or down bottom, not really sure just yet, but that'll be one thing. And then of course is installing all this mess and plugging up things, and yeah, I've got to tap off a few wires and there is a bit to it. So the very first thing they want me to do is actually deal with the OBD connector, so we're actually going into the back of the port. But what I'm going to do instead is actually use this. So I ended up buying an extension lead and tracing back the wires. So more or less this is going to be a plug and play affair. So this is basically my alternative as towards splicing into wires in the loom. After that, it has a connector to the accelerator pedal, which are these two lots of plugs here. So I dare say that's a piggyback loop. So more or less that'll be an unplugged one and then plug it back in. So that's nice and easy, that one. There is then a connection to the ignition switch. So that's going to be a hard splice in, but that's only one wire, so not too fussed about that. In the future, I can always do away with this regardless. It is just a test to ensure I actually do want it in the car, or can easily revert it back. So that's apparently it. So it is literally a ground connection. So a ground connection, an ignition connection, the tap for the throttle pedal, and then the two for the OBD, and that is it. This should be really easy. So number one, that just pulls right out. So that's giving me access to the OBD port, which realistically is just going to be plugging it in. So that's not an issue. What is an issue, right, no, not easy to get out. Okay. This whole thing's loose now, which it should. Okay, so you do just have to be a bit firm-handed. It is quite on there. Nothing's damaged, so yeah, it is just really quite firm with these little tabs here. I think the first thing we'll start off with will be installing the power cable. So more or less the orange lead on the ignition is what we're going to connect. So, by the way, the battery's already unplugged. Oh, actually there's two plugs here, so that's probably a factor. Okay, so that's one. Just move that out of the way. Makes it easier. Oh, okay, the whole thing moves. Very good. And second one behind it, which is the one we want. Alright. Of course, it's the one that doesn't pull out anywhere near as far. Of course. I wonder if we can get a bit more. Aha. Okay, so there we go. So yeah, I've more or less pulled it back from behind, so now I can actually get to these wires much easier, and then I can just pull it back up. So I'm going to expose a bit more of this. Having removed that wire from the plug itself, so it does just pop out. It literally just pops off, which then reveals a bit more. And then I had to get creative with some of these. So more or less I thought I could use one of these 2-prong ones, but in the end I ended up using a slim and another slim. You could get away with using like a very small pair of pliers or something like that, but just basically something to pinch the two connections, top and bottom, without damaging them. And then obviously that pops right out. So this next part I am not going to record because my soldering skills are pitiful and my soldering iron is crud. So this is going to be done off camera and then we'll come back and continue on. So there's a little safety clip that stops you from getting the plug immediately out, which needs to be removed first. So a small screwdriver comes in handy. It's basically this plug here, but they got the kind of piece just sitting in like so, other way around, which means you can't actually push the button in to remove it. So yeah, fun. So one really odd thing with this whole wiring up process is that the way the OBD port is kind of displayed here seems a little wrong, and I'm struggling to understand because I've gone by their numbering, which in here is marked as being pin 6 and pin 14. The only problem is though, on this diagram here that it shows, the plug is like that. So that's the upright section, that's the top, and that's the bottom of the car here, right? On this, the actual plug itself, it's the other way around. So 6 and 14 are on this side, which means when I plug it in, like that, it's on the opposing side of the OBD plug. This is either going to work or it's not going to work, which means I've got to redo this, which is why I wanted to do this in the first place, because at least I can just chop these ends and then just flex back and reveal what should be 6 and 14 is actually 3 and 11 from this fly loom here. So inside this there are a number of pins we've got to actually put into some plugs, and obviously you can't have the plug already attached because then you'd need to drill a massive hole and then it wouldn't seat. So we get this, and then in the end here I think there's about 5 wires. Yeah, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and there's 2 different plugs in which they need to go into. This is obviously a universal setup to work with different cars, so different plugs, I presume, different configurations. But in this situation, yeah, we're actually utilizing both plugs because the main loom, which is connected to the accelerator throttle and accelerator pedal, and the ignition goes into here, and then one of the small ones with a couple of wires goes into this middle one, and then the large one into this one with a couple of wires, and then that's the OBD connection. But on the schematic, for the large pin, which has the large plug, I should say, which has that loom installed, is the marking on here that there's supposed to be a ground connection. So I've done that. That ground connection doesn't exist. So the best place that seems to be the most common place, really, I've seen maybe 2 or 3 other cars with this in the exact same spot, is right here, which you really can't see. Where this little flap is here, yes, I'm looking at the screen right now, sorry. Where this flap is here is literally just in front and up a tiny little bit. It seems to be the best area for it. Behind here there's an open area cavity between the steering wheel and the column itself, and all the mechanisms behind the actual steering shaft, so, or steering area, whatever. So yeah, that's more or less what I'm going to drill, and everything kind of clears. I've got plenty of room there, so that's where it's going to go. Yep, that can actually be threaded in. That's actually perfect. That is the perfect size for it. So yeah, that's a really nice size hole for that. So that was a 10 mil, I believe, the biggest one. Yep, 10 mil. So that's sorted now. So I'll undo that and then start properly putting it all back together. Needs to be bored out. Alright, let's do that. Yep, perfect. There we go. So, without it being installed yet, that's more or less how it's going to sit. I can fine-tune that a little bit more, obviously, before I seat it in place completely, but that's more or less going to be the look. And of course, when the column's up, it'll be at a bit of an angle like so. So, yeah, pretty happy with that. Yes, that's nice. So I can just kind of see. So on limiter, memory position 1, memory position 1, memory position 2, resume plus, set, and then minus, and then cancels the button at the back. So that's not too bad. By the way, if you don't know, these actually have a memory. So if you have 2 most commonly used speeds, let's say 60 kilometers an hour and 80 kilometers an hour, which are typically my 2 most common, memory 1, 60 kilometers an hour. I should slow down. Memory 1, 60 kilometers an hour. Memory 2, 80 kilometers an hour, and it just defaults to that. So, not a bad feature. I probably will use it, but yeah, it's just, I've never had that before. It's normally just been set and forget, and then you turn it off and then resume or whatever. So, anyway, yeah, let's tighten this up. Okay, just did that off cam, but that was a 14mm nut securing this whole stalk in place. So, what I'm going to do is actually a tab just here. I'm going to feed this cable through. So it goes underneath. There we go, snapped on. And the other side. There we go. It's also got a little tab, so if I'm 100% happy with how this is located, which I'm pretty certain I am, let's put this little tab in, locks it in place. Nice, that's done. Consulting with the manual again. So we have the pinouts here. Focus, there we are. So it's just a matter now of not being colorblind, luckily I'm not, and then threading each of these through their appropriate connector. They're done, so that's those two done now, so that can be routed. With the massive question mark of this thing here, which means just basically pulling that wire through and then having to redo that. I wonder if that's numbered. Let's have a look on the actual plug. It is numbered on the plug itself, and oh hallelujah. Yes, so 6 and 14 I have actually done correctly. The image is literally backwards on that diagram because the plug sits like so. They've kind of got it like so with 6 and 14 being on this side, which is not. So that is actually correct. So that loom will work. Perfect. So hunting around where I found a somewhat decent location, more or less remove the kick panel down here, and there is a decent sized cavity within. For now, and I will be fiddling around with this later, I just want to get it installed and of course by the same account as well test if it actually does work. So I'm just going to put the box in here, in behind here, and just out of the way. So I'll more or less just hook everything up. And it's a massive question mark as to this ground wire, but anyways. Okay, so power's up, which is good. I cannot see the controls at all, but I pretty much knew that was going to be the case because I couldn't really have it any lower and it just looked horrible up the top. So, okay, we're now doing 60. Where's the button for set? Okay, so set is downwards, so we're past this car, right? So 60, set. That's it, feet off the pedals. It works. It actually does work. So that's perfect. And if I wanted to increase, yep, so if I push upwards, that's accelerating. Seems to be about, is it accelerating? Yes, accelerating, so that's fine, that's good, that works. Okay. Seems to be accelerating by itself. Okay, we're good now. So it cancels at the back. Oops, wrong one. So speed up a little bit so I can back off. So cancel works, and then to re-engage at higher speed, so we're doing 80, down button again. Okay, we're going down a bit, so that's fine, we're increasing a tiny bit. 84, 83, 82. Must have clicked it just over 80. So this car's 5k's out anyway. 81. Hang on a second. Just about to go up a slight incline. So 80, 81, 82. Fantastic. It's working perfectly. So that is spot on. This car now has cruise control. Fantastic. So my feet are in a much more comfortable position now. I can relax, nice and comfy in this chair when I'm sitting normally. So yeah, that is working 100%. That's another thing done. That's excellent. So I'll just cancel off from this cruise. There's one other thing I want to try, which I think you just slip the button forward, which is the speed limiter. Not that I ever use speed limiter, but I'm just kind of curious if it does also work exactly the same as my other cars, which it should do. So I think slip that forward. There we go. Yep, it literally pegs you back. My foot is to the... It's fighting it. It doesn't like it. Oh, hang on, it just went over it. Maybe if you do it full throttle, it overrides it. If you're just doing normal, no, it seems to have ignored it altogether now. It did work for a second. Yeah, kind of press so many buttons at once. Okay, so I think no. Let's press cancel and try it again. Speed limit at 71, 72, 73, 72, 71. That's foot at about, I don't know, 50% throttle. So if I floor it, it delays and then it picks up. So that's different compared to my other cars in that if you use the speed limit, you are capped. There is no bypassing that unless you press cancel. In this situation, it's literally allowing me to bypass it by smashing down the throttle. I'm still waiting for the car to get down to that, back to that speed now because I'm on a slope. Hang on. I'm going to need that. So back at 79, 80, 78, 77, 76, 5, 4, 3, 2, here we go. So 71 is where we're at. So if I accelerate again lightly, 72, 73, 74, 70, nope, it cancels it out. Again, I don't use speed limiter, so it's not really an issue. The main one I'm concerned about was cruise control. It's a novel thing. I've got it in other cars, but when I've bought a brand new car, brand new to me, a new car which didn't have it when I've had cruise in every other vehicle I've bought since, yeah, it's just weird not having cruise again. So going back to it, it just makes it so much nicer. My knees, a nice way of waist. This is perfect. So that's brilliant. That is literally done. Go down a bit further. That's going to do it again today, guys. Thank you very much for joining me. As always, like, subscribe, comment below, etc. This has been that build. Now you're probably awash with sunlight. Get back to your build. Until next time, cheers. Hello, Emu. How's it going?